welcome back to my channel and happy stinking new year. How the heck did we get to 2025? Just drinking. If you haven't had the pumpkin tea from Trader Joe's, highly recommend. But I'm gonna be sipping my tea as I chat with y'all. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for being here. My name is Abby and I'm a new mom. My son just turned 1 in January, so I feel like I really am starting my new year now because it was a busy January with the holidays and his birthday and all that encompassed that. But we are now here. It is the new year and I just wanted to make a little video saying Happy New Year and show you my little new year tradition that I've been doing now for 8 years, which is wild. So let's get into it. Let me have a sip and I want to show you my New Year letter in case you want to do your own. These are my New Year's letters. I have this year will be my 8th year writing these letters to myself. I always put on it to be open and then New Year's the year before. These are going back to, I think they're all out of order right now, but I think this is the first one. And it takes me a while to write them. You know, I don't always write them. My intention is always to write them on New Year's Eve, and it never really works out like that because it takes me a while to decompress from the year before and set goals for the new year. So if you're like me and you're figuring that out and it's February and you're 6 weeks into the new year, we're still 6 weeks in, guys. It just started. So I have my stack and I just wrote my new one, and I wanted to talk you through kind of my process of doing it in case you wanted to do your own. And I'm gonna make this as short as possible and concise because who wants to watch a long video about that? Anyway, the first thing I do, this is my letter I just wrote, and here's the letter for it. I haven't sealed it yet. So as a total aside, my husband bought me a stamp, like a wax seal one year. So I also wax seal them all, which is my fun little tradition. But I wanted to introduce all of this to you before I wax sealed my new one. Anyway, let's get into it. The first thing I do is wish myself a happy new year. Almost every letter starts with Happy New Year. Happy New Year, sweet girl. Happy New Year, Abby. Happy New Year, whatever. You want to wish yourself a happy new year because you are ideally reading this on New Year's Eve. Then the first thing you want to do is recap the year before. So what I did was I recapped my 2024. I've done this for the past 8 years and I recap them differently every time. But the first thing I do is I recap the year. And the thing that really helps me do this is my camera roll. So I go to January 1st of 2024 and I scroll and I just write down the major events. I have done this as a bullet point list. I have done it as like January bullets, February bullets. I've also long form written it out of what happened. That's what I did this past year. You can type this letter, but I really enjoy seeing it in my own handwriting. I think there's something really powerful about seeing it in your own handwriting. It allows you to connect with the words more, in my opinion. But if you are not a long form person, typing is great too. So that's the first thing I do, is I long form out what happened the year before. I really look from the lens of the perspective of, if I was reading this when I'm 80, I want to know what happened in my 2024. That's kind of how you should write it to yourself. You are writing to your 1 year from now self, but now that I have them, I'm reading letters that I wrote when I was 27, 26 in my own handwriting. I also think don't go crazy. Don't write every little thing that happened. Highlight the big stuff. My 2024, I became a mom 6 days into 2024. So that was kind of my major thing that happened. There were other major things that happened that I recapped as they went. But I focused on really my journey of motherhood being the main thing that happened for me in 2024 and speaking to that as I went throughout my list. If you took a picture of it, it's likely that it was a big event. Or you took multiple pictures of it, big event. Don't be like, on Tuesday in March, I had toast. Unless you want to know that. But I would say you want to keep it tight. After you do your personal events, the things that happen in your life, I also like to tack on at the very end anything that happened in the world that I want to know about. Trump was elected, COVID happened. Like I had a whole letter where I talked about COVID. Other just major events that have happened in the world. again, it's that feeling of like when I'm 80 and I am reading this or my grandkids are reading this, what was going on at the time of writing this letter. As a total aside, I did this for the first time in 2001. I was in 3rd grade and 9/11 had just happened. And my 3rd grade teacher had us write a letter to ourselves about that event that had happened and wanted us to write a letter to ourselves graduating high school. So I have this letter that was written from my 3rd grade perspective about 9/11. And that's what kind of gave me the idea about having these letters, because my perspective, even right now as a 32-year-old woman, is different from the perspective of Abby in 2018. And having that lens is so important, I think, for your own growth. So that is when I first did it, and now I do it every year. And I think these are my favorite things that I write to myself. Anyway, wrapping up point 1, which is worldly events. Recommend doing that. Number 2, I want you to talk about your goals. I always write out my goals. I almost always do them as bullet points. And I've again done them different ways. 1, you can write them all out as bullets. 2, you can divide them amongst categories. So this year I had categories of like family, finance, personal, and career growth. I did 5 goals for work, 5 goals for family, 5 goals for financial, and 5 goals for personal. That is what I found worked. I also want you to write this list and give yourself so much grace, because there are things on these lists for 8 years that have still not been accomplished, and that's okay. We're here to give ourselves grace, but we're also here to allow ourselves to dream. Okay? So that's what I recommend. When you are looking at your goals, I want to see what did you accomplish, and then where did I fall short, and how can I now with perspective know what I need to change to either go after that goal, or do I need to take that goal off my list? Hindsight is 2020. Highly recommend just evaluating, what did I want to accomplish? Did I accomplish it? Is it on my goal list for the new year or not? And then just moving forward from there. Another thing I've done in the past, I don't love doing this, but if this would serve you, you can write out your goal list for the following year, and then you can also tack on goals for 3 and 5 years from now. Because ideally you are doing this every year, and so you're able to see, okay, I said in this letter 5 years from now, I wanted to accomplish this. Where am I now that it has been 5 years from now? Interesting just to look back on and observe. We are all doing this as a non-judgmental observer. See yourself, see how you can grow, and allow this to just be a tool to help you to move forward. Once you write out your goal list, so you have your recap from the year before, now you have your goals for the year, I want you to take those goals and either take a picture of them or journal them in your own journal that you journal in more regularly so that you can actually see them, or you can write them out and tack them up. But I don't want them to get shoved in an envelope and then never looked at until the following year. These are things that you should be checking in on monthly, quarterly, just saying, how am I doing on those? What was it that I wanted to do? I've found when I don't do this, I get to October and I'm like, what was my goals for 2024? I don't even know. And it's helpful to go back and just to kind of rejoin the course. I heard this saying once that planes are almost never on course. They're always kind of coming back to where they should be going. Okay, I'm totally getting it wrong. Basically, they're never on course, and the pilot is having to redirect them back to the course over and over and over again. And so by having these goals written out, you're able to course correct more often than if you didn't have them in front of you. It's that out of sight, out of mind. So keep them in sight. So now that you've done number 1 and number 2, number 3, the last thing you want to do, you want to hype yourself up. You want to wish yourself a great year. I also love to throw in some questions of like, did this happen? Did this happen? Fun ones in the past is last year. Well, I guess 2 years ago, my husband and I were trying to have a baby. And at the beginning of the year, I wrote in, do we have a baby or are we pregnant? And so it was fun to see that a year later thinking we do. And I also had said, is it a girl? Because I was convinced that I was going to have a daughter first. And it's just so fun to read that letter again and be like, you were pregnant, and it wasn't a girl, it was a boy. and even write those notes later in the margins with his birthday and all of that. I highly recommend doing that to almost allow yourself to be surprised at what life brings. It's so cool to see kind of what life has in store for us, and to realize that while I can write these out and write these goal lists and things that happen, life is going to unfold how it unfolds. I have found that the greatest things in my life are things that I did not plan for. So allow your list room for life to come in and take over. If I had planned it, I would have said I wanted a daughter. I cannot imagine having a first child be a daughter now. My life is my son. It's amazing. I love that I have that perspective now. But it is fun to read my own letters back and see kind of how things changed. Ask yourself any questions. Did you run that marathon? Did you meet that career goal? Did you travel to that place you wanted to travel to? Allow yourself to be surprised the next time that you read your letter. And then the last thing I do, like I told you at the beginning, I sign it. I have written these letters for 8 years, so I've known my husband the whole time. I always sign it, "Now go kiss Sean," because I love his New Year's kisses. That's how I sign mine. Sign yours however you want. However, last year or the year before when I was signing it, I was actually able to sign it, "Now go kiss your boys." So with 8 years of letters, it is, "Now go kiss Sean, now go kiss Sean, now go kiss Sean, now go kiss your boys." It is fun to see that transition happen within my letters and to just see the evolution of my life over the past 8 years. And it is so special that it's in my own handwriting. So I sign it, I seal it up, I write, "To be opened," and the date, and I seal it up, and I use my wax seal and I stamp it and I tuck it with all of them. I usually, now that I have so many, I will tie a ribbon around them and I tuck them away, and I'm able to pull them out the following year and give myself a little treat on New Year's Eve. These are New Year's Eve letters. However, you could also do it on a birthday or on another major milestone. It doesn't have to be New Year's Eve. This video is literally going out in February because I'm a mother and I'm trying to get mine together all the time. Like literally, you can do it whenever. It's also really special to do if you are in a major milestone, like if you're pregnant or buying a new house or switching careers or if you're getting married. So that is my New Year's letter writing process that I've been doing for 8 years now, which is crazy. I hope you're having a great start to your new year. I love you, and I hope this helps, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.